Hello everyone and welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Josh, joined today by the man, the myth, the legend, Adam Nicholas, because we've got something of a strange news story, and that is a SEINFELD game may be happening. And because none of us gaming nerds really know what SEINFELD is, I was always a Friends fan. I know I'm not very cultured. I've gone to my good friend Adam because he knows the show more or less inside out. And this hasn't been, it's not officially greenlit. This has been dubbed an unofficial pitch for a game that we hope is going to happen. They've dropped a trailer for it. They've dropped a pitching website. So I just want to know, Nicholas, when I came to you this morning and said, look, a SEINFELD game might be happening. It's a point-and-click adventure game. How did you react?
Well, first of all, hello Josh, hello everyone at WhatCulture Gaming. What a treat this is, by the way. For you, of course. For me, this is just another day at work. Well, when Josh messaged me saying, I have a potentially great thing for you to do today, and if I'd sat in a room with an infinite amount of time and a bunch of typewriters, I would never, ever in a million years have come up with this. It's 2020, Josh Brown. How are we talking about a potential SEINFELD game? I don't know about you, but I didn't even know I wanted this game, and now that's all I can think about.
Well, this is the funny thing, right? Because like I said in the intro, I'm not a huge SEINFELD fan. I've only seen a couple of episodes and what I've learned through cultural osmosis. But watching this trailer, it is incredible. So what I'm going to do is just run down some background information on what the project is and then hand it off to you because you know much more than I do. So this is a concept by two people, Jacob Janerka and Ivan Dixon. The former Jacob has worked on a point-and-click adventure game called Paradigm, which I haven't played, but is getting insane reviews on the likes of Steam and critics everywhere. And Ivan Dixon is an animator who has worked on pixel art for cartoons like The Simpsons and also worked on Childish Gambino's Feels Like Summer video. Co-directed it, which is like, those two talents there already is enough to get me excited for this. So essentially, this isn't an official pitch because they would get into mad trouble had they created something based on the SEINFELD brand without permission. But the idea is to convince people that this game can work and then hopefully get, Jerry and everyone involved to sign off on it, give them the rights and let them make it either by, the IP holder funding the project itself or via Kickstarter or something like that. So it is, like you said, Nicholas, an odd project, and if anyone asked me what tie-in property would I like to see adapted into a point-and-click adventure game based on, 90s iconic adventure games, it would not at all be this, and yet somehow it works, because I've watched the teaser trailer about 4 times, and I've laughed and picked up on new jokes every single time, and I'm not even a huge SEINFELD fan.
You see, the thing about SEINFELD is, Josh, you mentioned at the start of this video that you were always more of a Friends guy. Well, Friends wouldn't exist if it wasn't for SEINFELD. SEINFELD perfected the art of the craft. It literally, it's the best sitcom of all time, in my opinion. It really is that good. And you watch it back and it's timeless, honestly. And even watching Friends now, I would find Friends hasn't aged well in certain areas, whereas SEINFELD actually at times feels even more relevant today than it did back then. So you've got a bunch of characters for starters who lend themselves so perfectly to this kind of format, and it's, to be honest, I can't believe my brain's never connected the two dots, because the sort of wit that the show produces through Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld's humour, the interactions between the characters, the scenarios you find the characters in, and them trying to get themselves out of it is literally tailor-made for point and click. So this feels like a match made in heaven, and with the two guys who want to make it, they really seem like they've got so much passion for it. Please, if you're watching this, Jerry or Larry in particular, just genuinely sign off on this immediately, please.
Well, it sounds like, I think they've got a real interesting take, because they mention perhaps a contentious decision, which we're going to talk through, in that the structure of the game is going to essentially be the same structure as an episode. So it's going to be 30 minutes long, and it's going to follow, George, Jerry, Elaine, and have those character stories interweave with each other as you play all 3 of them. But they're not going to just repeat old episodes, or they made a point about they're not just going to make this a fan service game, which it very much easily could could be they're going to make, you know, an original episode, hopefully episodes, and craft their own tales as if this was a tie-in when the show was, you know, first airing. As if the quote itself is, what if there was an official Seinfeld point-and-click adventure game that was never released? So it's almost being treated as something that was uncovered from the 90s and is being played today, which I love all those different, you know, nuances to this pitch. Like, it's not just, he's a lot of Seinfeld stuff, he's a lot of, you know, fan service, he's some really gorgeous pixel art. It's like, it's a really interesting take, in my opinion. And I'm not sure you, as someone who is more of a fan, like, is the fact that it's not going to be based on older episodes a deal breaker, or is that, you know, something that you think is a smart move?
I think, like, initially when we first spoke about this, as we were preparing for this, my immediate thoughts were like, oh my god, think of all the possibilities. You could go and do this episode. I'm thinking of the one where they get stuck in a car park and they can't find the car. You could do that one. They get stuck in the Chinese waiting for their food. They could do that episode. You could have a showdown, a sort of like a la Monkey Island, where you have the back and forth banter between yourself and the soup Nazi trying to get some soup. I imagine all these scenarios, Josh. These are things that I immediately got excited about. But I do think this is actually a smart move, because it would prove not only that they've got the, like, anybody could copy the format of Seinfeld, like, literally by script, but for them to be able to take the nuances, take the tone, take the sort of the characters' essences and put them into a brand new episode, it shows not only that they care about the show, not only that they could turn that format into something brand new, but it also kind of brings it forward, and it would prove to anybody potentially who would be interested in maybe going one further and doing a few more of these, that this is definitely a viable option. Because, like, they've brought it into the 21st century essentially with the, I say essentially, it's probably going to be based on really old email, which would be hilarious to start with. We'll get to the synopsis in just a second, I'm sure. But ultimately, I think if they could hit this one at the park, then there's loads of proof there to say, well, actually, we could now do a series of these and continue, which I think fans would like, and it allows them to dip in and out of the humour from old episodes, but obviously bring it forward and make a brand new thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it fits with, you know, like the style of the game as well. Like you mentioned, you know, you could have like the back and forth between characters, but then when you're, you know, trying to navigate through specific dialogue options, for instance, you won't know what the right answer is. If you've already seen the episode it's based on, you might already know the answer to a lot of the puzzles, whereas this keeps it fresh for people who don't know, as well as people who are familiar with the show. So I do think ultimately that will be the right way to go, as long as the episode itself and the writing itself seems solid, which, again, judging by this 1 minute 30 trailer, I am already sold on. But yeah, like you mentioned, the episode itself is called The Email, and I think you have the full synopsis for us.
I do indeed have the synopsis here, Josh. I'm just going to read it verbatim because it's the best way to go. It says here that Jerry is dating a publicist who accidentally reveals his email addressed to Kenny Bania, who obviously anybody who's watched the show will know who Kenny Bania is, someone Jerry does not like very much, through a group email. Now Bania fills Jerry's inbox with a flurry of spam emails asking for feedback on his new stand-up set. Jerry decides to break up with the publicist over this, but he doesn't want to deal with the interaction face-to-face. Don't we know about that? Kramer suggests ending the relationship via email and avoiding it altogether. Jerry does this before Elaine reminds him that the publicist was supposed to get them tickets to the opening night of the new movie Rochelle 2, another nod to previous episodes of Seinfeld. George devises a plan to corrupt Jerry's girlfriend's computer before she can read her emails so that they can still collect the tickets. Kramer says he knows who can help. Someone with a sworn vendetta against email. Someone who has devoted their whole life to analog mail and sees email as a threat to his livelihood. Someone named Newman. And honestly, if you've watched the show, reading that synopsis will tell you that they have spent time caring about this, because these are all, there's enough in there to be like little winks and knowing nods, but not enough to be like, hey, look, all of this is what you want. It's subtle, it's not bang in your face. There's enough there to get your interest. And Josh, even you listening to that, you can't tell me you don't want to do that.
No, it sounds genuinely amazing. Like it's like a classic. I don't even, like, again, I'm not familiar with Seinfeld, but that's like a classic sitcom plot, isn't it? That's something I want to play, because the amount of situations that could arise from that, to put it politely, is something I definitely want to see. And what I love about it is, like you mentioned, there's sort of a knowing of the show and the structure of the show inside out. So it's not only just, you know, as if it was another episode. It's kind of a reference to all of the beats that the show hits. Like they mention in the narration on the teaser trailer. There's it asks you, wouldn't you want to live a game where you live in a nice apartment in New York and complain about the tiny inconveniences ruin your life, and a game that will make you feel as if you were dumping beautiful women for trivial reasons. I like that.
Yes, I would.
Yeah, it's like it's delivering you this plot, but in a very kind of knowing way that isn't poking fun at it, but just kind of riffing on the tropes of what makes up a Seinfeld episode, I guess. I'm gushing about this because it all sounds very smart and very good, but it might tragically not happen, because you know what, there's been a lot of gamers like this before that have come from fans that have been unofficial pitches, and then they've just got nowhere because the network or the people who own the rights just aren't interested. But hopefully with enough publicity and enough of a push, because it does sound like there's genuine, like we've been saying, talent behind the project, it will come to fruition in some form. And even at the very least, Nicholas, I've got to say it, just watching some clips, talking to you, looking at this today, I'm going to have to go back and watch all of Seinfeld. Finally give it the time it deserves and not just the few episodes I've seen.
You really do. And even when you're being there, Josh, let me just quickly say that this whole email episode sounds very similar to one you could watch. You could even watch to see how it might play out. Go and watch the episode The Phone Message if you're not familiar with Seinfeld. That is an episode based around something very similar, only it's George who leaves an answering machine message on a woman's answering machine, and he and Jerry have to try and get it off before she finds it. All sounds very similar, but it will give you a taste for what you can expect in this game. And just looks like there's so much love in this, Josh, and it'll break. You've brought this to my door, and you've basically promised me this game, and I'm not going to get it if this doesn't get out far enough. So whoever is watching this, plug this as much as possible, please. SeinfeldGame.com is where you can find the trailer and all the synopsis and all of the pitch. You can get it, #SeinfeldGame on Twitter. Pump that link out. It's on YouTube. I think it's Jacob Janeika's YouTube where you can find the video. Go on there and plug this as much as possible, because I want to see this. Never mind anybody else. Just do it for me and maybe Josh.
That's it. That's a brilliant segue. Do it for Nicholas and maybe me. If you can be bothered, maybe me as well. So yeah, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Would this be a dream come true tie-in game? And is it something you ever dreamed would potentially happen? And are you hoping to support it? While you're down in the comments, can you give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to WhatCulture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't, though, I have been Josh, joined today by the ever magnificent Adam Nicholas.
That's me. Oh, that is him. Say something now as well. Oh, look, it's me. I'm still here. Follow me on Twitter. At It's Adam Nicholas. Or follow the podcast me and Michael Hamflet have made about BoJack Horseman at Podcast Horseman. You can find it on Acast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Do that. You go, Josh. Also, funnily enough, made by two very passionate people who really love a TV show. So yeah, check that out, and we will see you soon.
Bye. Bye.